Hello everyone and welcome back guys to a brand new video where today we're here back with round 7 of our F1 2021 Alpine mod career mode. This time around we're here for the British Grand Prix, of course not the home race for us in this World Championship, of course driving as Esteban Ocon, but certainly a track that still holds a huge amount of prestige in the world of Formula 1. Of course, if you missed out on the last video from the Austrian Grand Prix, definitely recommend going back and checking it out before we head into this one here today. By far and away our best race of the year so far, without giving you guys too many spoilers. There does now mean we're best of the rest at the moment, behind Max Verstappen, of Lewis Hamilton, of course Valtteri Bottas, who pretty much made up the podiums in most of the Grand Prix so far this year. There were 7 points clear of Charles Leclerc, who's probably going to be our main rival throughout the rest of the championship there, but you've still got the likes of Sainz, Vettel, Perez and Alonso still in this sort of midfield battle towards the front of the midfield there, you know, sort of battling for all the places inside the top 10. But yeah, let's dive in then here, ready for the British Grand Prix. So here we are then, ready at the British Grand Prix. Round 7 of the season. It is quite weird just how early on a lot of these races still are, of course. The rest of the championship follows in pretty similar order, unfortunately. Obviously, we can't do the double Austrian Grand Prix anymore in this championship, but hopefully this weekend here in Silver we can have another good week so far. You know, it should be a track that suits the car quite well. Obviously a lot of high downforce requirements though around here, but you know, good top end speed as well, really important if you want to get the most out of this circuit. Of course, just making all the normal tweaks that we do to the setup to hopefully give us the extra bit of pace that we need to try and get ourselves towards the front of your field. But let's get ready then to head out onto the track for round 7 of the campaign. Seems mad that we're nearly halfway through this season already. Has been a whole lot of fun in the first half. Let's do this thing then here from Silverstone. Of course, we've got the hotel on the outside there as we head back down in towards turn 1. Is it going to be flat? Should be flat. Oh, a little bit of inside curve there. A small blend on the throttle, just lacking a bit of confidence through the first couple of turns as we head down here or through this low speed section. Obviously no downforce in the car. Really does make it incredibly slippery as we head out the first few corners, out onto the back straight though, the first of the straights, obviously the Wellington straight this one, down in P15 at the moment, but I'm hoping, you know, sort of the car will come alive in the second half of the lap there, as we do really need to try and get it dialed in. Can't afford to be starting way down the order here, obviously with it being such a high top speed circuit, and you know, not many big braking zones. Overtakes can be quite difficult here, of course ERS management as well, really important around this British Grand Prix circuit. Through the old turn 1, completely pinned there, no questions about that. This time around the Alpine now, tyres starting to come up to temperature, getting a bit more grip and a bit more confidence as we head through Maggots and Beckett, so a lot of curb there. Try and run the car wide on the exit, use a little bit of grass if you need to. We're still outside the top 10 at the moment though, as we head down in towards the final few corners of the lap. It's not going to be the best lap in the world, but hopefully we can try and gain a couple more spots. Back down into 5th gear through one of the last corners of the lap. Can we... Oh, we're still gaining places though, so everyone clearly very bunched up in the midfield. They're a bit too deep in towards the final chicane, or way too wide on the X there. We'll go around the sausage curb up towards the line. It's only P12 at the end of qualifying there. Not quite what we wanted, but a very tightly bunched midfield there. Hopefully we can bring it back in the race. Well, a very interesting qualifying session there. Then Max Verstappen down in 5th place, nearly a second off the Mercedes there, and far more importantly, behind the Ferraris this weekend. So I'm guessing Ferrari might have brought a couple of extra upgrades to the car, and this is just a track that, yes, suits their car anyway. Mercedes full front row, then you got both Ferraris, both Red Bulls, both Aston Martins. There's a little bit of a mix-up between us and the McLarens there. You can see Lando Norris up inside the top 10 for his home Grand Prix there, so a little bit of moving around there. Then you got both AlphaTauris, both Haas cars, the Williams of George Russell, both Alfa Romeos, and then the Tifi rounding out your grid. Might be a long race this one today. We're going to see if we can try and get our way back up the order there. You can see, what, 0.2 of a second would have netted us P6 between Perez and myself. Yeah, 0.2. It's going to be close. So here we are then, ready for round 7 of the year from the British Grand Prix. Looking forward to this one today. Like I said, qualifying, didn't go as well as I would have liked, but Silverstone hopefully hasn't been a track, I'll be honest, that's given us much luck on F1 2020, but maybe today, in the 2021 Alpine mod career mode, things can go our way. A 3.66 mile circuit does mean that it is right down with Monza in terms of shortest race times on the F1 calendar. I mean, yeah, a 25% race around here is easily done in under 20 minutes nowadays as well, which goes to show just how insane the top speeds are around this track. Really, when you think about it, there's only, what, 2 low-speed sections of the track, obviously right at the end and then right at the beginning of the lap, which is even less than Monza technically, obviously with its 3 chicanes around the circuit. They're not quite the same average speeds, but yeah, not far off, and I think a lot of people forget about that around this British Grand Prix circuit, especially with how much downforce these cars are producing nowadays. So many corners around here are flat out that I think just a lot of people just sort of forget about or don't expect to around this circuit as well. But of course, though, it is a very, very much a track that you've got to manage your ERS, something the AI are incredibly strong at as well, hence why they've been so strong on F1 2020. But like we said, though, Lewis Hamilton on pole position once again for the British Grand Prix ahead of his teammate Valtteri Bottas. Then you've got the 2 Ferraris of Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc making up row 2. Verstappen in 5th, Perez into P6 ahead of Vettel and Lance Stroll. Then you've got Lando Norris, Fernando Alonso, Daniel Ricciardo and myself in 12th place. Tsunoda and Gasly just behind us for AlphaTauri. Then you've got Schumacher, Mazepin, George Russell, Kimi Raikkonen, Giovinazzi and Nicholas Latifi rounding out your 20 starters for today's British Grand Prix. Then looking forward to diving into this one. Let's try and keep it nice and clean through the first couple of corners and let's do this. So here we are then, ready on the grid for round 7 of the year, and yeah, not our best qualifying session in the world ready for this one today, but we'll wait and see as to what we can do here around the British Grand Prix. I'm tempted, to be honest, to go for the alternate strategy, try and go quick at the end of the Grand Prix. It worked so well for us last time at the Austrian GP. We might just try it again today, do 6 laps on the softs and then 7 on the... 6 laps on the mediums and then 7 on the softs to the end of the Grand Prix. I'm also going to quickly tweak the front wing. I think we just need a little bit more front end for this Grand Prix there, so we'll make that subtle change as well then. But I just want to dive into it. Round 7 of the year here from the British Grand Prix. We've got Alonso just in front of us. Let's see if we can keep it nice, clean and tidy down towards turn 1. It's 5 red lights and it's lights out. And away we go for the British Grand Prix. My God, look at Tsunoda! Down around the outside in towards turn 1 there. He had nowhere to go, but that is a mega start for him. Not for us, though. Daniel Ricciardo completely braking on the racing line there. We get a warning straight away for that, and that's going to be a huge amount of front wing damage at the start of this Grand Prix here. So we might have to pit just on the end of lap 1 onto the set of the soft compound tyres here to try and get him through to the end of the Grand Prix there. That has not been what we needed at the start of the race as we come under pressure from Mick Schumacher here, and so far the starts generally this year have been pretty good, pretty clean, pretty conservative. But yeah, Ricciardo, they're going so much slower than expected through turn 1 then. No idea why he needs to brake through a corner that's flat out in full race trim. Never mind, obviously from a standing start as well. But yeah, team is saying going on to the hards. I still think the softs should be good enough to get to the end of the Grand Prix. But yeah, we're definitely going to have to pit here. We can't afford to be battling with Haas cars as we head back down in through the next couple of corners. Then Gasly sneaks up the inside as well there. And this has not been the start to the Grand Prix we needed after all the highs of Austria last time. Suddenly it all comes crashing back down to earth at the British Grand Prix then. This thing is not great at the moment there. We might even get jumped by the Williams of George Russell as we head down the hangar straight away here. I think we've got a little bit more top end poke for the Williams. Look at the way we pull away from him. As Gasly gets squeezed out by Schumacher. Potentially a chance for AlphaTauri to score some points this weekend with Tsunoda's rapid start there, but into the pit lane at the end of lap 1. Make sure you get it. 5-second penalty as well. It's not been the start we needed to the British Grand Prix. We'll have to keep our head down though and focus there. I thought we'd actually been quite cautious on getting it stopped nice and tidily into the pit lane then. No idea why we're only doing 34 miles an hour rather than the full 37 either. But a 5-second penalty, yeah, is just going to make our day even more difficult around this circuit. Our only hope is to go onto these softs. Hope obviously with some clear air that we can absolutely fly. And then maybe, just maybe, we can recover points at the end of this. 10 seconds the stop as well. There wasn't even a clean pit stop by the team as well. A long old day ahead of us, I think, unfortunately. But let's head back out onto the circuit then. And we've got 12 laps to go still here from the British Grand Prix. It has been a track that's been quite evil to us over the course of F1 2020. But let's get our head down with 35 seconds behind any other car. Gonna have a lot of clear air for a while. Hamilton sets a 1:28.1 at the end of lap 2, so at least we know sort of what like the top guys are doing in this race in terms of pace. I mean, we've already taken a second that Giovinazzi over the course of this lap, but still a long old way to go. Oh, Latifi's out of the Grand Prix. No idea what's happened to him then, but Nicholas Latifi out of this race. We're not going to last for much longer. There is the abandoned Williams car, and based on where he's put, I'm going to hazard a guess and say that was just a simple engine failure. Not what Williams would have needed at their home Grand Prix, but I don't think they were on the verge of points anyway. Obviously not a whole amount to talk about early on in this race, but we're still setting PBs lap after lap at the moment, down into the 28s, which is good. So I think we're pretty much matching the Mercedes, which is very, very good at the moment. But of course most people are in sort of dirty air trying to manage everything a lot more. I'm just hoping once obviously everyone does pit, we can get back out sort of around where we should have been in this race, and then we can sort of look towards the end about where we might end up. Of course, the other thing is with Silverstone is it's so hard to try and save ERS. So although we really just want to try and do some flying hot lap style laps around here, you got to think about the long game as well, about trying to make sure you've got some battery left towards the end. On to lap 7. Oh, now we should start seeing some more guys into the pit lane at the end of this one. Hopefully we can start getting a rough idea where we are. I mean, we've taken 15 seconds out of Giovinazzi since we pit, so minus about the 10 we lost from the front wing, we still should be ahead of a few cars. There we go, Alonso's into the pits at the end of lap 7. So hopefully we'll be somewhere near him when we come back out. Don't think we'll quite be with him. But we'd like to think, you know, we'll be a couple of places away as we head out onto the hangar straight. Let's just see, Mazepin's in as well. Both the Alfa Romeos opting to stay out unless Giovinazzi's going to dive it in. Perez shuffling himself right towards the rear of the field there. There is Alonso. So yeah, clearly not a lot of guys have pit. Sonoda's in as well. So we might not get the full picture just yet as we head through the final couple of corners. Let's see where we're going to come out in this Grand Prix. Are we going to be anywhere near our teammate, for example? There is Mazepin, there is Tsunoda, and there is Alonso as he heads back out the pit lane here. So we're pretty much going to be, unless we can get past Tsunoda, right where we were in the Grand Prix. Obviously, we've got the 5-second penalty as well. And look at that Tsunoda on cold rubber, completely vulnerable. So we sneak back at the inside of the AlphaTauri man, up into 17th place in this Grand Prix. Of course, we've got to work out with the 5-second penalty where we're going to be, but that's okay so far. Still a lot more guys into the pits at the end of this lap, and that does fill us with a lot more confidence, knowing the fact that everyone else is able to go pretty aggressive on their soft tyres around this track means we probably should be okay to get these to the end. Let's just wait and see then as we head through the final turn. We're obviously going to jump the back marker cars, everyone like that. We're going to be back up then into P13, I want to say. Yeah, look at that, P14 even. There's Vettel. Oh, Vettel and Alonso going side by side. Battle of two ex-legends up the inside of Sebastian we go though. We're up into 13th in the Grand Prix, which is pretty good going at the moment. I think we've still got a few more to pit. I can't see Alonso having lost this many places.
We have 5 laps of fuel remaining.
All over the back of our teammate Fernando, and I mean we can't really afford to sit behind him for too long in this Grand Prix. If we feel quicker, we've surely just got to try and go for the move. Oh. Running very, very wide out onto the back straight. We're going to use a load of our overtake mode. We will have a look to the inside of our teammate. We're going to get a big old run on Lando Norris as we head down in towards, I think it's Stowe, but not quite able to make the move work this time around. On Lando might be able to go for a bit of a send. No, not quite close enough this time. I'm at a 12th though. We are going to have a few more guys in the pits as well, so we should be up into the points in the Grand Prix. You can see how hard we're pushing still on this rubber there. There is one of the Haas cars. That's Schumacher into the pits. So Lando now up into 10th place, and I think that does mean everyone now has pit. So we're going to have a look at the inside of Lando Norris. There we go, up into 10th place now of the Grand Prix. We've of course got to try and build up a 5-second gap in just 3 laps. It's a bit of a tall order, but we'll give it our best shot. I've just noticed on the minimap, I think we got one of the Alfa Romeos into the pits. So that must have been Giovinazzi, who stayed out there incredibly long in this Grand Prix. But it is going to mean, oh no, it's Raikkonen even, sorry. So we are now up at a P9 of this race. We need to try and get some DRS off Lance Stroll just in front of us, who's having a good race out for Aston Martin. He's all over the back of Perez, but unfortunately for us, Norris is still in the DRS range. And we need to try and get him out of that if we want to try and get the 5-second gap. A lot of wheel spin at the first couple of corners, but we need to hold on. There we go, we're inside the DRS of Stroll. Oh, made a big mistake through there though. That Lando is now out of our DRS as well, which is important.
There is a fault to the DRS. You won't won't be able to open the rear wing. We're working on a fix. Stay out.
You could not time that any better in this Grand Prix. If ever there was a sign F1 2020 was not my friend today, that would be it. DRS failure with 2 laps to go. We got another Alfa Romeo into the pit lane, so I was right in Giovinazzi staying out very long in this Grand Prix. But what do we have to do at Silverstone to get some luck, man? Up to P8 once again there. I mean, Alonso's 1.3 back with 2 laps to go, and without any DRS, there's no way we're going to be able to pull out that gap. I think we're just going to come out at about P13, P14, I want to say, in this Grand Prix. We've scored points in every other race so far this year, but today is not going to be our day. Right, can we still somehow get a run on Lance Stroll without the use of DRS? We're having to use so much overtake, but look at that, we have got a bit of a run on the Aston Martin there. Goes to show their lack of straight line speed at the moment. At the inside we go, we're up into P7 of the Grand Prix, so although we won't finish here, certainly got to try and give the team something to smile about. Still, the pace is still good in the car, despite all the setbacks so far today. Getting a little bit fishtaily out the final corner. Can we get a run on Perez, though? As we head back down through turn 1 and through turn 2, we are gaining a little bit on the Mexican. This fault, of course, probably isn't going to get itself sorted out by the end of the Grand Prix, as we're already on the final lap, but I would love to get past Perez, and I'm into 6th place by the end of this one. I guess the saving grace for us is Charles Leclerc. Our main championship rival is only in 5th. Normally he's been a placeholder in 4th place early on this year. But can we try and get a run on Perez? He's going to go defensive down in towards Luffield for the final time in this Grand Prix. Can we go clean around the outside on much older rubber? Get the inside for the next corner there. Slam the door park on the apex. And we're up into 6th of this Grand Prix there. So that, again, surely does give the team something to smile about in this race. But Perez is going to come back at us as we head up in towards the old turn 1. Can we keep it nice and tidy? Keep it between the white lines just about there, using all the exit curb you possibly can as we head through Maggotts and Beckett's for the final time in this Grand Prix. I said at the start, Silverstone has not been too favourable to us on F1 2020, and it seems like today is going to be another one of those days. We had good pace, but a DRS failure, Ricciardo doing whatever Ricciardo was doing at the start, and then of course just speeding into the pit lane as well, has really set us back at the end of the Grand Prix there. Bottas sets fast lap at the end and also wins the British Grand Prix, so a good result from the Finn there. I think it's Hamilton P2, Verstappen in P4 there. Charles Leclerc fastest lap. GG Charles. We come through though, P12 in the end.
Okay, pick up rubber and bring it home.
The Mercedes team pulled out a fantastic performance today. They should be proud. Talk to me, Ants. What was it that set them apart from the competition today?
Well, I honestly feel it was down to the driver and car today. I mean, we can talk driver skill all day, but if you don't have a solid team to back that, you're never going to get anywhere. When you hit that sweet spot of having both an excellent driver and an incredible car, that's when you see results like those we witnessed today.
After an excellent performance at the Grand Prix, I'm sure there'll be plenty of celebrations tonight amongst the Mercedes team, and they certainly deserve it. Let's focus on the driver of the day. Anthony Davidson, who do you pick?
It's got to be Valtteri Bottas, a commanding performance that I think had the audience's eyes glued to him for the majority of the race.
Well, Ant, an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.
Well, there we are then, guys, the end of the British Grand Prix. And yeah, Valtteri Bottas getting the better of his teammate Lewis Hamilton there to rack up his second race victory of the year. Maybe just rewriting the wrongs of last weekend there. But Hamilton P2, Mercedes comfortable this weekend. Sainz, though, another man who gets his first podium of the year there in P3. A fantastic job done in his first year with Ferrari there. Gets a podium before Charles Leclerc as well. I'm sure that probably stings for Charles just a little bit there. Verstappen fourth, a very disappointing day for him. Red Bull just didn't quite have the pace this weekend. They're ahead of Charles Leclerc. Maybe now we're seeing Ferrari get involved in the midfield battle there. Charles taking the fast lap of the day as well there. Then you got Perez, Stroll, Norris, Alonso and Vettel rounding out your top 10 there. We come through for P12, missing out on points by 2.5 seconds. Gutted, I'll be honest, but we'll get on with it as we head towards, I think it's the Hungarian Grand Prix next time out there as well. Looking further down the order, of course, we beat both AlphaTauri's, Alfa Romeo's, Haas, and George Russell there with Latifi, the only man not to make it to the checkered flag there. Means championship-wise, Charles gets the jump on us, 4 points between us still, but the gap at the top really closing up. 16 points separating the top three now, 4 between Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton there. Perez gets the jump on Vettel. You can see Stroll gets the jump on Ricciardo as well, in sort of that weird battle for not quite in the midfield, but not quite at the back markers as well they're going on between those two, and debatably Lando Norris as well, as still neither AlphaTauri has picked up a point early on this championship. Only movers constructors-wise is Alfa Romeo, again, getting the jump on Haas and Williams on count back there. We're starting to settle in, I think, a bit more. I don't think Aston Martin are really going to be able to pressure us too much, but I'm not sure we're going to be able to pressure Ferrari over the course of the year as well there. So if we can pick up P4, that'll probably be a good championship, unless we get a really big turnaround later on in the season there. But thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, do make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and yeah, we will be back very, very soon for round 8 of the year, where we head to the Hungarian Grand Prix. You guys do not want to miss it. A big thank you to our channel members for making these videos possible. You can be featured in these end clips, as well as granted access to some other exclusive perks for just £1 a month by clicking the join button below.